The first sound I ever learned to hate was the scrape of furniture from the other side of the wall. It was a thin wall, the kind that whispered secrets and shouted arguments. For years, I believed the man on the other side, Brother Ahmed, was my personal test in patience. I never imagined he would become the key to unlocking a secret hidden in the very foundations of my faith. My name is Yusuf, and I am a man of routine. My days were measured in the rhythmic beats of prayer, work, and the quiet solace of my home. My wife, Aisha, was my anchor, her gentle faith a constant contrast to my own, which sometimes felt more like a list of rules than a flowing river of compassion. And then there was our neighbor Ahmed. Where my life was ordered, his was a cacophony. He was a night shift worker, and his return home at 3 a.m. was always announced by the thud of his door, the clatter of his shoes, and then the scraping. A heavy, grating sound that felt like it was being dragged directly across my nerves. It was the sound of his old, worn-out sofa being pulled closer to the window, his pre-dawn ritual before he finally slept. "Perhaps he's just tired, Yusuf," Aisha would whisper in the dark, her hand on my arm. Remember the hadith? Jibril kept recommending the neighbors to me so much that I thought he would make them our heirs. I would grunt in response, the verse from the Quran, and to the near neighbor, the neighbor farther away, Quran 4:36, felt abstract in the face of this nightly disturbance. Ahmed was the near neighbor in the most literal and most irritating sense. Our interactions were limited to curt nods. He was a closed book, his face a mask of quiet exhaustion, his eyes always avoiding prolonged contact. The resentment built, brick by bitter brick, in the wall between our homes, a wall that existed not just in the building, but in my heart. I performed my prayers, gave my charity, but my duty to my neighbor remained an unchecked box, a burden I carried with a sigh. The turning point came on a sweltering summer night. The air was thick and still, and the familiar 3 a.m. scraping felt louder than ever. But this time, it was followed by a sound I had never heard from his apartment, a child's cry. Aisha and I sat up in bed. We had lived next to Ahmed for 5 years and never seen or heard a child. The crying persisted, a weak, wheezing sound that spoke of illness and distress. Then, we heard Ahmed's voice, not its usual gruff tone, but a low, desperate murmur, laced with fear. My first instinct, born of years of resentment, was selfish. Now his problems are spilling into my sleep, but Aisha was already out of bed. "Yusuf, something is wrong," she said, her voice firm.
"He is alone.
"We have to go." The command in the hadith echoed in my mind, but this time it was louder than my grudge. Whoever believes in Allah and the last day, let him be good to his neighbor. This wasn't about noise, it was about need. We knocked on his door. The seconds stretched before it creaked open. Ahmed stood there, his face pale and etched with a panic I had never seen. His usually tidy appearance was disheveled. "Brother Yusuf, Sister Aisha," he stammered, his eyes wide with surprise. "We heard a child crying," Aisha said softly. "Is everything all right?" A war of emotions raged on his face, pride, shame, and overwhelming fear. Finally, he stepped back, a silent invitation. The apartment was a mirror image of ours, but stark and bare. In the corner, on the scraped old sofa, lay a small boy, no more than 6 years old, his face flushed with fever, his breathing a labored rasp. He was wrapped in a thin blanket, shivering despite the heat.